The doorbell rings loudly. Nadine's voice came from deep within the mansion, far beyond the living room. "Erica, someone is at the door." "Yes, ma'am," she replied. Erica frowned and headed towards the entrance. She said to herself, "Do you think I'm deaf? Don't I open the door every day?" She stretched her arms out in front of her apron and smoothed the lines of her long-sleeved white button-down shirt. Baggy black pants and comfortable flats completed her work outfit. This is not what you use when you clean your apartment. There she was, dressed in a sweater and light t-shirt, her hair slicked back under a scarf, a stark contrast to the neat, intricate French braid she wore to work. But it still works great as a maid uniform. She's glad she was never advised to wear a black and white lace miniskirt and low-cut top, much to the dismay of her son Brady's roommate Thomas when the two young men returned home from college. She smiled, remembering the young man's desperate look when he saw her in overalls. As she walked into the kitchen, she heard Thomas say, "I thought I'd wear something sexy, you know?" "Yes, I don't need to see it," Brady said. "Okay, she's still beautiful. Shut up, idiot. That's my mom." Erica had the same concerns when she got the job. He had heard horror stories about servants who worked for the rich and what happened to them. She thought the clothes were a sign that the owner was trying to kill her, but that wasn't the case. Edward Blanton always treated her with respect and dignity. Of course, she knew that she was his housekeeper and he was her boss, but their communication always revolved around work. Thanks to Erica for her efforts and for the nice bonus. Edward never said anything suspicious to him. He may have been thinking about this as his head pressed against Nadine's ass. Although Erica respected and liked Edward as an employer, she also disliked his wife, Nadine. Erica's father was a narrow-minded man and described Nadine as someone who was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Nadine is at least 20 years younger than her husband, who is 60. She is vain, arrogant, condescending, and greedy, and Erica considers these to be her strengths. He saw the wild and vengeful nature of Nadine, who had never attacked Erica before. Because she needed a job and it paid well, Erica would often bite her tongue and say, "Yes, ma'am," and then go home and punch Brady's room. Erica sighed as she walked towards the front door. Edward did not see his wife's true character. As soon as he was able to leave the corporate boardroom, he fell in love with her and practically gave her a check for anything she wanted. He is an honest man, but he is far from the first honest man to marry a narcissist. Like most narcissists, Nadine has perfected the art of showing her man only what she wants him to see. When she opened the door, she was greeted by another Beverly Hills socialite, around Nadine's age. Julie Hastings has perfectly manicured nails and hair, beautiful clothes, sunglasses that probably cost 4 figures, and a diamond pendant that would probably cost Erica a year. Botoxed lips and bleached blonde hair completed the picture, and Erica couldn't help but laugh. He bowed his head to greet the guests. "Hello, Miss Hastings. Have a nice day, dear." He walked in as if he had expected it, and so it was. "I'm not late, right?" "No, ma'am. You're the first." Erica avoids using the condescending word cute to refer to someone 10 years older than her. There's no point in asking this question. "Mrs. Blanton is going to the solarium today. Should I tell you?" "No, thanks. I know the way." He went deeper into the house. He had almost reached the living room when Nadine appeared in the distance. The women greet each other with false enthusiasm, giving each other formal hugs and painful kisses on the cheek. Each woman is quick to tell the other how beautiful she looks in her cute outfits. Erica hates insincerity, but it's not her job to worry about the drama of mature female models. He returned to the kitchen and began preparing light appetizers and desserts for the crowd. Much of the work was done by Francesca, Blanton's energetic Latino chef. But that day, he went to his grandson's baptism. Erica remembers Nadine's annoyance when Franny went on vacation and said that there was a Bush Foundation planning meeting that day and they needed to provide food that day. Edward replies that family is important and gives Franny the day off. After her wings were broken, Nadine passed away, although Erica thought her eyes showed that Nadine would remember this insult. Franny had prepared almost everything for Erica in advance, leaving instructions to complete the few remaining tasks. Erica gives Franny a small baby gift, hugs her, and wishes her luck. More and more people came, mostly from the upper class, and they spent too much time and money. Erica sighed as she listened to the chatter and laughter on the porch. He believed in charity and helping others. But the charities that Nadine and her circle are involved with seem more interested in communication and caring than in any action. For example, The Bush Foundation strives to create more green space in public spaces to beautify and prevent soil erosion. Erica doesn't think that in the 6 months they spent together, they didn't grow a single plant. She looked at her watch. 10:49. Nadine ordered food to be brought to her at 11 o'clock. Erica checked, but everything seemed fine. The last plate of crab cakes went on the grill, and he had to cut 2 loaves of sourdough bread. Just as he was about to grab the bread knife, the doorbell rang again. Erica went out into the corridor and opened the door. As soon as the door opened, a tall blonde man with a handsome masculine face and a well-tailored suit appeared. Despite his attractiveness, the man exuded an aura of self-importance that instantly irritated Erica every time she saw him. Still, she nodded at him. "Hello, Mr. Decker. Please come in. Thank you, Erica." She resisted the temptation to close down. His tone and the way he lingered on her body made her feel like she was leaving a trail of saliva everywhere she looked. But the man worked for Edward, so she couldn't accuse him directly until Decker propositioned her or sexually harassed her. He never did that. He just looked at her. Erica smiled again, this time effortlessly. "Sir, you are on the terrace and about to start. Do you want me to take you there, please?" He pushed John Decker into the house. She felt his gaze on her ass but tried to ignore it. Erica stopped at the door and pointed at him. Decker smiled coldly at him and entered. Erica walked back to the front of the house, ignoring the screams of the women inside as the girls sang behind her. She stopped in the doorway and looked out the side window to see him standing in front of the tinted windows of Decker's limousine, wearing a black suit. He brought the cigarette to his face, took a drag, and exhaled. His boredom was visible from afar. Erica hurried back to the kitchen, got ready and looked at the clock. At 11 o'clock, he carried the tray into the winter garden and placed it on the decorative sideboard. Nadine's guests come to eat. Erica heard a lot of praise for Nadine, who smiled proudly as if she was in the kitchen kneading bread and shelling nuts. After a few minutes of walking, he ate all the food. He took a quick glance at the drinks bar, which was open before the guests arrived, and realized that everything was in order. Erica looked at Nadine, who ignored her and walked away. He knew from painful experience that he should not approach his lover in public without her permission. If Nadine needed something right now, she would have looked to Erica, who was waiting for her approval, but the task was completed. He opened the front door. As soon as he said this, the man's head turned towards him. Erica looked around and saw that there was no one in the hallway, so she invited him in. He smiled at her, put out his cigarette, and headed toward the door. Erica saw him approaching. As he approached the porch, she said, "Hi, Peter. Are you okay?" He shrugged. "Same song. Come to the kitchen. I think I still have enough money to set the table for you." In fact, Erica left some food in case Peter Decker showed up. "What are you going to drink today?" "I need to drive the car, so I only drink water. Thank you. Any." They went to the kitchen. Peter took off his hat and put it on the table. Erica took a plastic container out of the refrigerator and began putting food on a plate. She looked at him out of the corner of her eye. Peter Jang is of average height and slim. He looks handsome in a black jumpsuit, trousers, white shirt, and thin tie. According to Erica, her mixed white and Chinese heritage gave her the best qualities of both races. Her beautiful face hides eternal beauty. Although he knew that Peter was over 50 years old, he could easily be mistaken for a man in his 30s. Thinking about this, Erica touched her braid. She was still dark, but the first gray hairs were just beginning to appear. Although she didn't ask permission to invite him to someone else's house, Erica thought it would be a bit of a risk. The Blantons always advised her to be hospitable. When they found Peter in the kitchen, she explained that she needed to go to the bathroom. She handed him the plate. "Healthy eating. To raise children, you need food." Peter snorted. "Of course, now I just increased the width." He took the plate. Erica looked down. "What is your waist size? 30 inches? 32? I don't think it would hurt you to add a few pounds." He took a bite of the chicken pita bread. "You are the kindest soul. First you feed me, then you flatter my pride." The girl tried it. They talked for a while Peter ate. I returned to the sun lounger every 15 minutes to check if I needed anything or exercise. It took a few dishes, but otherwise everything was good. Nadine and her entourage began discussing the purchase of trees and shrubs to plant. Erica found that every 5 minutes of conversation was followed by about 30 seconds of action. Every time she came, she noticed Decker watching her. When he returned to the kitchen after his second visit, Peter was leaning against the counter and rubbing his stomach. Erica smiled at this. Ever since he casually mentioned that he never had time for lunch at work, she always made sure to prepare something for him whenever Decker came over, which was often. Franny helped out, cooking Peter small meals from time to time, and even teasing Erica about her boyfriend. Erica always blushed and ignored him, but she admitted that Peter's arrival had brightened her days a little. He finished eating. "Thank you, Erica. Delicious. I'll pass on your congratulations to Franny. She did most of the preparation. I just warmed him up." "Good." He took the plate. "What should I do to deal with this?" "Oh, I accept it." He ran forward, took the plate, and put it in the dishwasher. "All clear. Thank you. How is your son?" "Agree, you are on the honor roll for the second year in a row. He did very well. In 2 years I will have a son who will go to university." He placed the back of his hand on his forehead and closed his eyes with a dramatic tone in his voice. "Oh, these pains of old age." Peter shrugged. "You're not that old yet. On days like these, I feel like I'm 49 years old." "You don't look 49. His ears perked up. "This is true?" Peter's face was still very serious. "The maximum number is 47. She laughed and threw a rag at him, but without violence. "No wonder you've never been married. No woman wants to tolerate such statements." I know. Speaking of married people, how long do you think today's Save the World Committee meeting will last?" "I have no idea. I know Miss Blanton doesn't have anything planned for the rest of the day." "Why do you ask?" He took a deep breath. "Because I need to pick up Mrs. Decker Wallace is at physical therapy this afternoon, and Mr. Decker will be angry with me if he has to take a taxi or drive." "Poor girl," Erica muttered. Amanda Decker Wallace is a beautiful blonde in her 30s. Erica only saw her once, but I thought she was cute. Unfortunately, Amanda developed peroneal palsy in both legs. Common conditions are more common in people who squat for long periods of time. However, the reason for his condition, which prevents him from walking without assistance, remains unclear. The Wallace family is made up of wealthy elderly people, and their team includes the best doctors. The prognosis is good, but progress remains limited and slow. She listened to Brandon discuss it and learned the details from Peter, who took Amanda to physical therapy 3 times a week. Technically, Peter served the Wallace family, not John Decker. She could have easily left her husband and taken his wife, but that didn't make her life any easier working with Decker. Erica understood his desire to avoid trouble as much as possible. Peter stretched. "Yes, your meeting is scheduled for 14 o'clock. Because Mr. Decker needs to be able to get to the office and back home, so he needs to leave before 12:30 so she can arrive on time." Sigh. Then another hour. Erica pursed her lips. "Meetings in another room can last the same amount of time." Suddenly Peter laughed again. "Are you still drawing? Yes? About him?" Erica became even more upset. After a previous Bob Ross show, he tried oil painting with some success. Brady patiently told him about it. Although he felt that his son was just being polite and showed no interest. She understood. Her mother and Erica talked so much about cross-stitch that Erica wanted to poke her eyes out with a needle. Her son did not offend her. He's a good guy and supports her in many ways, and their relationship is strong. This work did not interest him at all. Peter, on the other hand, seemed genuinely interested and always asked questions about his latest projects. When she showed photographs of his paintings, he expressed criticism and support. She never felt like he fully supported her because once or twice he didn't like something, and he just said it, and Erica appreciated his honesty. He wondered if it was because Peter was so cute that he wanted to put on pants, but then he pushed the thought away and thought he could leave her alone. They talked for a while, then Erica heard sounds approaching. He pointed to the small bathroom next to the kitchen. Peter nodded, walked inside and closed the door. Erica wiped her hands and went out into the corridor. Nadine and the other woman stepped forward. Since the day was sunny, none of the guests brought with them any umbrellas or coats, which Erica would have hung in the closet. And since the hostess accompanied the guests to the exit, she did not have to go out and say anything. The couple stopped at the door and kissed passionately again. The other woman left. Nadine looked back and saw Erica. "We'll also need a bottle of champagne." He said nothing more and returned to the solarium. Erica took it out of storage. She had heard Edward Blanton tell his wife not to drink champagne or waste it on friends, but Erica had no intention of disobeying her wife's direct orders. Nadine must live through the consequences with her husband. He rummaged through the drawers until he found a corkscrew. "You know," Peter said, standing in front of the bathroom door, "I bet I could cut his head off with a long knife like in the movie." She smiles at him. Fingers can be torn off. Stay there until I return. His quiet laugh followed her out of the kitchen. He put the champagne in a bucket of ice, pulled out an empty bottle, looked at Nadine to see if she needed anything else, and then returned to the kitchen. So where are we? Have you ever thought how sad you will be if you lose my hand in the future? How did I do this? Use your imagination. Erica laughed and blushed. A small part of her scolded her for acting like a sullen schoolgirl. The rest of her was enjoying this too much to care. They chatted for another 30 minutes until Erica went to the solarium, or Nadine saw the guests off. Nadine didn't talk to Erica except for the first trip, and she was fine with that. He was glad it was almost over. Cleaning the kitchen will take some time, but you are still confident that you can finish things before 5 p.m. Nadine was the last woman to come to the door to say goodbye. He looked towards the kitchen. Mr. Decker and I need a few minutes, Erica. We finished eating. You don't need to see us anymore. Yes, lady. Peter reappeared, frowning. He'll make sure we're late. I know. Maybe that's not true. They joked louder. Peter talked about the new drone he bought and tested the day before. Erica smiled at this. This is why children never throw away their toys, right? Are they getting more and more expensive? He fired a grenade, kind of like the girl who played with a dollhouse and always dreamed of a house in the village with a white picket fence, right? Same idea, bigger toys. She smiled, cut out the shape. They talked for a few more minutes. Peter looked at his watch. 12:25. I hope you're ready. I can stop Erica. She began offering to go back and tell Decker that Peter was waiting so he could pick up his wife. It might be the morally right thing to do. Besides, it was beyond her means and she would most likely get fired, which she couldn't afford, especially when her son was in college and she was spending all her money to keep him there. Luckily, Peter understood his intentions. He shook his head. No, I don't want you to get in trouble because of your strong opinions or what these people say. If he doesn't leave soon, I'll have to leave. Erica bit her lip. She always wanted to help. Okay, I'll go down and see how things are going. Perhaps they are ready. He seemed suspicious and just wanted to pass. Okay, but don't get in trouble, she smiled. I will not do it. Erica frowned as she approached. The huge wooden sliding door separating the winter garden from the hall is closed. She stood outside and listened. A quiet groan reached his ears. There are people who suffered. He grabbed the handle and tried to open the door. As soon as his fingers touched the brass device, another, more sinister possibility presented itself. Your eyes opened like saucers. No, it cannot be true. He only managed to open the door slightly without making a sound. As soon as he said this, the sound inside suddenly increased tenfold. Erica looked inside herself and repented. Nadine Blanton leaned against the sofa. Her fashionable dress fell down her back. John Decker stood behind her, his pants pulled down to his ankles. Nadine moaned softly. Erica stood there with disgust on her face. All she could think about was that Amanda was waiting for her husband to ask the driver to return the car, not knowing that her husband was risking her going to the doctor so she could enjoy her lover while Edward went home. But he didn't kiss her, his wife. I knew that just a few hours ago she had been with another man. Nadine spread her fingers over the terrace window. They do it right in front of the window. Erica winced. Gardeners have Monday off. No one walked past the court to see them. Erica realizes that Nadine left fingerprints on the glass and she has to remove them. For some twisted reason, this idea sparked outrage. The inconsistency almost made her laugh. The rise of her lover's voice forced Erica to act. It looked like they were both going to be devoured, and she had a terrible feeling that she had been discovered. Their backs were to the door, but Decker saw them turn their heads. Erica suddenly felt scared. Getting fired is probably the least of your problems. Is Decker cruel? How will he react? Even if nothing actually happens, it will be a broken promise for them, a promise of the working class and the wealthy elite. Erica has no illusions about the film's outcome. She closed the door. The tree closed with a thud, but the lovers were either too loud or too self-absorbed, and their moans only intensified. Erica retreated into the corridor as quietly as possible. When she walked in, Peter was leaning against the counter, looking at his phone. Seeing Erica's worried expression, his smile disappeared and was replaced by a serious expression. Erica, what happened? Peter, what? She took a deep breath. Decker leaned Nadine against the couch. What? He stood up straight. Are you joking? I hope I'm kidding, Peter. I didn't really look because I didn't want to get caught, but I knew what I was seeing. This bastard. How could he do this to Amanda? especially considering everything she had been through. He's a wonderful person. She doesn't deserve this. I know. Erica hugged herself. She thought of Edward Blanton and felt compassion in her heart. Edward is a good person and a good manager. Even though I think she's a psychopath, he loves Nadine. It would break his heart. Peter stared at the wall for a moment. Erica, you can't tell him, she frowned. What are you saying? I won't let this happen. I raised my hand. I'm not saying we let them handle it, but now it's just your word against theirs. You didn't take pictures with your phone or anything, did you? No, I do not have. I thought that if they found out I was watching, no one would believe me and I would be fired, so I ran away. He looked towards the terrace. It's too risky to go back now, I agree with. He stepped forward and put his hands on her shoulders. Peter's eyes never left hers. I'm with you, Erica. We will take care of them, but we will be careful. Everything is fine? Just act normal. You can do that? Erica nodded. I think so. I mean, you don't like him anyway, so it shouldn't change much. Just keep your eyes and ears open. Will do the same. Let me think. We will get through this together. Peter let her go, took his wallet out of his pocket and gave her a business card. Call me in a day or two and we'll see how things go. I will do it. In the meantime, you better go. He looked at his watch. Yes, although even now I'm not sorry to part with him. Call me. Peter started to leave, but Erica put her hand on his shoulder. She looked, she smiled and leaned down to kiss his cheek. Thank you. He smiled back and headed towards the door. Erica cleaned the kitchen and looked at the clock. It was already 1 o'clock in the afternoon when he heard a noise in the corridor. Nadine and Decker walked through the kitchen and towards the front door. He heard the front door open, muffled swearing, and hurried footsteps approaching. He concentrated on cleaning one of the frying pans. Nadine walked into the kitchen, and Decker followed her. Erica, John, have you seen the driver? Did he say anything to you? He briefly considered saying he hadn't seen Peter, but security cameras showed him entering the house. Erica said as she walked into the bathroom. We just said hello, but he said he couldn't stay and mentioned something about a meeting. Decker frowned. Amanda, it's true. Nadine, can you call me a taxi? About him. Erica, come on. Nadine led Decker out of the room. Erica sighed and picked up the landline phone. His cell phone rang. Erica looked at him and smiled to herself. This is a call from Peter. He looked at the timer on the elliptical and saw that he had 5 minutes left before his cardio class. Oh, go to hell. He slowed down and picked up the phone. Hello, Pedro. Good afternoon. Are you okay? I'm currently finishing up my workout at my apartment complex's gym. He got out of the car and walked towards the stairs. I'm sweating a lot right now and it's time to take a hot shower. I think I'll stay under it for a while and let the water flow over me. Peter was silent for a second. This is a very colorful description. You really know how to upset a person with your prepared speech. Erica smiled again. She notices that she has been smiling more since she and Peter started their project, which they call Operation Catch a Villain. They exchanged notes every few days, and whether they found something he could use against Nadine and John or not, she expected to always talk to him. Well, I certainly don't want to distract you. He laughed out loud. Doesn't matter, this program doesn't bother me, she blushes. It's good because I have nothing to give us. They observed the explosive pair for several weeks, but did not collect any evidence. They tried to listen to the conversation through mobile phone recordings, but to no avail. When Erica suggests trying to hack John or Nadine's phone to send incriminating text messages or install tracking software, Peter rejects the idea. He said that in addition to getting fired, it could lead to prosecution, and she had to admit that he was probably right. On Erica's side, Nadine had several unexplained absences, which led Erica to suspect that she may have been secretly dating John, but they were all out in the open. Peter reported the same thing a few hours after he took Amanda on a date. Erica becomes increasingly frustrated and begins to doubt her strategy. She often wondered if they should tell Edward and Amanda about this and leave the letters alone. At the same time, he was able to spend more time with Peter. They meet at his home 1 or 2 evenings a week to compare notes. Inevitably, their conversation turned from frustration over their inability to find information about Nadine and John to talk about themselves, which gradually faded as they looked at each other. He then coughs or looks away and tries to talk her into going back to work. Every time this happened, Erica would blush and clench her thighs nervously. His next words brought her back to reality. Anyway, I called because he might have something for us. The thought of teasing Peter disappeared. Erica tried to look nonchalant. Is it true? Do you know what the Bush Foundation is planning for Memorial Day? Erica is painfully aware that Nadine is planning a big charity party to raise money for the foundation. She planned indoor events and organized them like crazy. Important people from the Los Angeles social elite were invited. Nadine even hosted a mogul from a well-known national organization that builds housing for low-income families through partnerships in the area. This event is considered one of the most important events of the year. It almost drove Nadine crazy. Suddenly, nothing in the house is good enough. Nothing is pure enough. Erica is forced to work with 3 new temporary workers to clean the house. He felt sorry for the ground staff, half of whom had been fired or replaced for disobeying orders or because Nadine had thought of something in the heat of the moment. Nadine's pre-match frenzy pushed Erica's patience to the limit. All this immediately came to Eric's mind. She clenched her teeth. Yes, I know all this. She drives you crazy, doesn't she? Up to madness. Pedro smiles. Well, she told John, he participated in all the preparations. I think he seemed to be involved in this process when he was working with his boss's wife. That wasn't all he did, Erica muttered. I heard her speak today. I think they were planning to make a video montage at the charity event that would make everyone cry. You know, the usual emotional nonsense about building houses, planting trees, etc. They will be broadcast on the big screen throughout the evening. Comfortable? He said, well, I'm just wondering what would happen if we replace this with something more interesting. What do you mean? John invited Nadine to have fun at a charity event. According to him, it would be very nice if all the guests were present. Nadine agreed and said that they would enjoy the day more if they did it while the idiots, in quotes, emptied their wallets. Erica shook her head. Are they really that stupid to take such a risk? I think so. They were too arrogant to think that they would be caught. Nadine told John that she could have sex with her husband in front of him without his knowledge. He then talked about the old garden house and called it his love nest. Do you understand what he means? Yes. The cottage is at the other end of the garden. This is the hotel that Edward opened about a year ago. This is a beautiful little house. Sometimes they receive visitors there. She thinks about it. Yes. It is located opposite the house where charity events are held. So what's your plan? I have a good friends. This is too strong a word. Famous people, let's say. Either way, this guy is a computer genius. He is an expert at installing cameras to blackmail people. They tend to do shady things and make deals. Anyway, he managed to line up the whole house so we could put it on the big screen and show everyone what was going on. I asked him, and he said it was easy and took very little time. How many? He didn't even need the money just to keep a copy of the recording. Peter's voice was full of disgust. When he found out that Nadine Blanton was the target, he said he could sell it for more than we paid him. Erica's lips twitched. He seems like a wonderful gentleman. It wasn't, but it didn't matter. This is the best, says Peter. I could almost see his smile over the phone. There are other illegal things this guy can get his hands on. In this case, it's fireworks at the event level. He said that if we could lure him into his territory, he might be able to give us something to scare them off. They will explode in front of other people. Believe me, I saw what he did. You would think this place was attacked by the Luftwaffe. You're among dangerous people, Peter. This is the driver's job. I can't say for sure if I kicked anyone out of the mafia, but I definitely worked for people who knew how to break a law or two. Anyway, I was helping this guy one day and he told me I should do it. How do you do it? I'll tell you at breakfast. Erica frowned. He walked up to his apartment and entered. It seems too complicated. I know. It sounds like a crazy plan dreamed up by a crazy writer with too much time on his hands, but I think it will work. She hesitated and then shrugged. Agree. Well, I agree with you. I called my friend. You must bring it to the event venue the day before the event and have everything ready. Maybe something else will appear later, but otherwise it's beautiful there. I can do it. Erica smiled. They really believe we can do it, and so do I. His voice had lost some of the joy. Erica, I want to try this. I don't want them to keep getting away with it. I mean, if you think we should take them down and give the film to Edward and Amanda, then we can do that. This way we won't embarrass them publicly. Erica thought for a moment. He didn't want to humiliate his boss or his wife, Decker Wallace. She believes that deception is hard enough, not to mention the fact that it happens in front of everyone. I have no idea. I mean, maybe if they knew I was coming. She paused. When this idea was born, I smiled. Peter, did you record their conversation? Of course, as we already said, video, if great. Erica felt a wave of emotion. That's what we're going to do. She explained her project to him. When he finished, Peter said, "That's good." I thought Edward would agree. "Amandine, tell me. I think I can convince her." "Yes, I like that it was quiet here. What a good brain you have. Comfortable." Erica smiled. There was a slight tremor in the voice. "If all goes well, you will be able to express your gratitude to my big brain and all the other parts of me." Peter hissed. "If I didn't know better, Erica, I would think you proposed to me." "You don't know any better because that's exactly what I do." She clears her throat. "We plan to meet tomorrow. I want to talk about all the little things and do it to feel that gratitude." Erica watched the lively celebration from the side window of her room at SUNY. The show featured 200 Los Angeles vigilantes who set up tents to play pranks on each other. The hum of conversation could be heard from the open door at the end of the hallway, and soft music accompanied the commercial that continued to play on the large screen. He was amazed at the effectiveness of this approach. The video was scheduled to air after guests drank cocktails, and the Bush Foundation gave an inspiring speech. Once everyone's attention is focused, the recording can be played for maximum impact on hearts and wallets. However, the video played over and over again until guests began to ignore it. Did she laugh at herself when you became a PR person? Maybe it's just common sense. Or maybe you're being picky about everything Nadine does now. Erica sees Julie Hastings flirting and having fun with a media technician. A thin young man, barely older than his son, was hired to host the big screen. Hastings put his arm around her neck and rubbed his purchased breasts, and then they disappeared. Even from afar, Erica could clearly see his hands on her ass. Damn, are any of these people loyal? The object of his scorn emerged from the crowd. Her hands were intertwined with Edward's. Although it was only 11 a.m. and the charity event only lasted an hour, Erica was already a little worried because the owner was drinking a lot. On the contrary, Edward stood next to his wife with a stupid smile on his face. His back was straight like an arrow. Edward nodded to his guest but said nothing. Erica wondered what he was thinking. Footsteps in the corridor caught his attention. He left the greenhouse and escorted the woman to the bathroom, waiting to see if she needed anything before taking her back. He checked that everything was all right and returned to his post. As soon as I approached the window, my phone rang. Read Peter's letter, purpose in action. She took a deep breath. Erica left the villa and headed towards the store where there was audio and video equipment with a large screen. She caught Edward's attention. Erica nodded quickly and he nodded back. Edward then turned to John's wife, Amanda. She frowned, but nodded and pointed to the people next to her. The small group left, Amanda on crutches, Edward holding her close. On the other side stood a man in a suit and sunglasses. Erica felt great sympathy for these two devoted spouses. It will be very difficult for both of us. Thank God they can trust each other and their family. A small audiovisual equipment tent is filled with remotes with buttons and switches. The cables lay on the manicured lawn like a stack of spaghetti. Through the mesh window, I could clearly see the large screen. Erica took a folded piece of paper out of her pocket, unfolded it, and repeated this twice. His hands were shaking and he tried to remain calm. His phone vibrated again. Another text. They were inside and looking at the house. There is a selection committee. Wonderful. Erica felt a wave of emotion. That's what we're going to do. She explained her project to him. When he finished, Peter said, "That's good." I thought Edward would agree. Amandine, tell me. I think I can convince her. Yes, I like it. He was silent. What a good brain you have. Comfortable. Erica smiled. There was a slight tremor in the voice. If all goes well, you will be able to express your gratitude to my big brain and all the other parts of me. Peter hissed. If I didn't know better, Erica, I would think you proposed to me. You don't know any better because that's exactly what I do. She clears her throat. We plan to meet tomorrow. I want to talk about all the little things and do it to feel that gratitude. Erica watched the lively celebration from the side window of her room at SUNY. 200 residents of Xiaomi's Angzhou district in Los Angeles attended the fair and set up tents to joke with each other. Conversations could be heard from the open door at the end of the corridor, and a commercial was playing on the large screen, accompanied by quiet music. He was amazed at the effectiveness of this approach. The video was scheduled to air after guests drank cocktails and the Bush Foundation gave an inspiring speech. Once everyone's attention is focused, the recording can be played for maximum impact on hearts and wallets. However, the video played over and over again until guests began to ignore it. Did she laugh at herself when you became a PR person? Maybe it's just common sense, or maybe you're being picky about everything Nadine does now. Erica sees Julie Hastings flirting and having fun with a media technician. A thin young man, barely older than his son, was hired to host the big screen. Hastings put his arm around her neck and rubbed his purchased breasts, and then they disappeared. Even from afar, Erica could clearly see his hands on her ass. Damn, are any of these people loyal? The object of his scorn emerged from the crowd. Her hands were intertwined with Edward's. Although it was only 11 a.m. and the charity event only lasted an hour, Erica was already a little worried because the owner was drinking a lot. On the contrary, Edward stood next to his wife with a stupid smile on his face. His back was straight like an arrow. Edward nodded to his guest but said nothing. Erica wondered what he was thinking. Footsteps in the corridor caught his attention. He left the greenhouse and escorted the woman to the bathroom, waiting to see if she needed anything before taking her back. Make sure everything is in order and return to your seat. As soon as I approached the window, my phone rang. Read Peter's letter, Purpose in Action. She took a deep breath. Erica left the villa and headed towards the store where there was audio and video equipment with a large screen. She caught Edward's attention. Erica nodded quickly and he nodded back. Edward then turned to John's wife, Amanda. She frowned but nodded and pointed to the people next to her. The small group left, Amanda on crutches, Edward holding her close. On the other side stood a man in a suit and sunglasses. Erica felt great sympathy for these two devoted spouses. It will be very difficult for both of us. Thank God they can trust each other and their family. A small audio-visual equipment tent is filled with remotes with buttons and switches. The cables lay on the manicured lawn like a stack of spaghetti. Through the mesh window I could clearly see the large screen. Erica took a folded piece of paper out of her pocket, unfolded it, and repeated this twice. His hands were shaking and he tried to remain calm. His phone vibrated again. Another text. They're inside. Eyes in and around the house. There is a selection committee. Erica looked at the center console and found the handle that Peter had pointed to, marked VSRC. The pointer points to number 1. I'm glad you showed me that. I will never understand this. The microphone met my expectations. He placed his hand on a nearby dial marked ASRC, changed the value from 1 to 2. In an instant, the music disappeared from the speakers. He also turned the VSRC knob to 2. The video fades out and is replaced by a floating camera aimed at a small bungalow surrounded by flower beds and trimmed hedges. Even as Erica changes, the image bounces and shakes before stopping. Jesus, Peter, hold it, he complained. The drone footage remains. Erica took a deep breath, grabbed the microphone and pressed send. His eyes were still glued to the script. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to the big screen. Your host Nadine Blanton and her partner John Decker from the Shrub Foundation are here to talk. He pressed the prescribed text on his phone and received visual confirmation. Go. The screen flashes with sparkles and colors as carefully hidden fireworks explode around the hotel. Some were spinning on the ground, sparks and flames spreading across the garden. Others shot into the sky and exploded on rooftops. One of them broke the window. A thunderous explosion echoed across the grass, startling Erica. If the sound was that loud from where she was, it must have been deafening for the two lovers. She smiled. I wonder how much they enjoy their lunch now. He looked out. The laureates took turns attending performances on the screens and on the roof. After the explosion stopped, he heard someone shout, "Okay, let's go." The audience continued to watch the screens, and some wise men, perhaps suspecting that something bad was about to happen, approached the entrance to the hotel and began to wait. Fireworks continued to bloom endlessly. Peter also wants to show the cameras inside, but Erica not only points out that filming Nadine and John would not only violate retaliation laws, but would also be major leverage in Edward and Amanda's divorce. Peter agreed to this. I hope Fireworks Man gets its money's worth. I would not regret it if these photographs were not made public before the end of the trial. Two people ran into the store. The first is Julie Hastings. The other is a media technician. Hastings looked back and was surprised to see Erica. You? What are you doing here? Job, Erica replied. Who are you? The young man growled, trying to sound threatening, which almost made Erica laugh. He reached into his pocket and grabbed the heavy object. He took a step towards her. Don't block my way. I work directly for Mr. Blanton, he said. He pays for everything. It was his property and he was happy with what I did. It's better to abstain. Chris. Hastings' voice became a scream. He turned to her. Erica raised her hand, pointed the stun gun at him and pulled the trigger. There was a loud crash and Chris froze before falling over. Hastings shouted, You killed him. You'll feel better in a few minutes, Erica said with a smile. If he didn't want to be touched, he shouldn't have tried to touch me. You, Hastings? pointed a trembling finger at Erica. "You will be fired for this." Erica took the device and took a step towards her. Hastings screamed and ran away. Erica put the stun gun down and sniffed it. Thank God she's gone. Movement on the screen caught his attention. The door to the garden shed opened. Nadine and John ran out. He was still trying to pull his pants up. He was still trying to button his shirt. The camera zooms in on the couple and it becomes clear that they are holding a rumpled bra. Anyone with a brain can guess what he's doing. As if someone had flipped a switch at the exit, the fireworks stopped. Erica smiled. To some extent this was true, since she was convinced that Peter had pressed the stop button. Nadine and John froze, looking at something. As the camera zooms out, Edward, Amanda, and their companions appear at the edge of the screen. They approached the disgruntled lovers and stopped 5 meters away. Despite the lack of sound, guests of the charity gala concert watched with interest the spectacle unfolding before them. A man and woman in smart suits approached Nadine and John. They all handed envelopes, one to John, the other to Nadine. As soon as Nadine saw him, she collapsed to the ground. However, John found Amanda. She shouted at him and waved her stick. Edward pointed at John and said something. John froze, and even with the low resolution of the drone camera, blood was visible on his face. Then John's face contorted in anger. He took another step, but a tall man with Amanda stood between them. The man's hand reached to his belt, where the holster with a pistol was clearly visible. John hesitated, then turned and ran. Nadine was lying on the ground. Edward gave her one last look of contempt, picked up the crying Amanda and walked away, leaving his soon-to-be ex-wife crying on the garden floor. Erica looked at the burned and destroyed part of the garden, the remains of several fireworks explosions. She sighed. Like his reputation, 2 marriages and God knows what else were burned and destroyed. I turned off the VSRC knob and the transmission disappeared. On a whim, he paused the script and turned the ultrafine grinder back on. While we appreciate your generosity to the Shrub Foundation, we ask that you give Mr. Blanton and Miss Decker-Wallacey some time to come to terms with today's events. Thanks and have a nice day. The stunned guests slowly made their way to the front of the house. Erica picked up the phone, stepped over a groaning Chris and typed, "Yes, I have received an answer. Can I express my gratitude to you now?" She smiled, a warm blush covering her skin. A finger ran across the screen. "I'm counting on it." Erica looked at the slowly rotating ceiling fan. The fresh air caressed her crystalline skin. His breathing was soft and calm, and his whole body seemed exhausted. This thought made her smile. The faint sound of flowing water reached his ears. Erica stood up, walked naked across her bedroom carpet, and opened the bathroom door. A trail of fog swirled in the air current. Peter stood under the shower with his head bowed, hot water flowing over his head and shoulders. He looked at his muscular back, thin waist, and strong legs. He opened the shower door and stepped inside. Peter blinked. "Hello. I thought you were too tired to take a shower." She put her hands on his shoulders. "You are so sexy that I can't keep my hands off you." Who would have thought that everything would turn out this way? He fears that without widespread dissatisfaction with his employer, his relationship will calm down and return to normal. While Nadine Blanton cried on the lawn of her old home, Erica wondered what would happen to her and Peter, but Peter clearly had no doubts. As soon as he saw Erica returning to her apartment after the day's activities, he grabbed her arm, lifted her up, and spun her around, laughing at the success of her adventure. As soon as her feet touched the ground, Erica softly rushed into the wind and pressed her lips firmly to his, and to her joy, he responded. They left a trail of clothes in the bedroom, and that was the start of many wonderful moments. Since then, Erica practically lived with him. She was worried about her son's reaction, but it turned out to be unfounded. Peter and Brady get along very well, spend time flying Peter's drone and discussing Elon Musk's latest space project. Brady even said it was too early to tell my mom, but I thought it was okay. Erica smiled at the memory. The son's coldness or indifference to his former friends only strengthened his connection with Peter. He looked at his watch, and the smile disappeared. Unfortunately, he had to leave after dinner because the next day, Monday, they both started a new work week. Peter must be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But after John Decker is kicked out of the family, his responsibilities are significantly reduced. Likewise, Erica's work became much easier without Nadine's attention. The divorce is ongoing and it sucks. Nadine begs Edward that it was a mistake, but he insists. When he sees what is happening at the wall, He tries to question their fundamental agreement. But with Edward's money and experience, she didn't stand a chance. The last he heard, Nadine had signed a lump sum before she disappeared. Franny said Nadine had gone to the East Coast, but Erica didn't care while she was gone. John became more aggressive and publicly insulted Amanda and her family on social media, until he was found beaten to death in the parking lot of his apartment. "Well, he probably wrote it because his jaw was broken," he said, lying in his hospital bed. It is impossible to prove that Amanda's father sent thugs after him. Their divorce was legal. Although Edward fired John immediately after the charity event, John's money and opportunity were his undoing. Police also questioned them about fireworks and neighbors' complaints. Erica and Peter didn't pretend to know each other, unlike Edward and Amanda. That day, the hotel's security cameras suddenly went out of order and did not record anything. Erica thinks the police know more than they're letting on. However, since this was an isolated incident at the mansion, only the mansion itself was damaged. No one was injured. She believes police tend to turn a blind eye rather than devote resources to investigations that face obstacles from the start. Erica sighed. Despite the tension, both men still got to work. Houses need to be cleaned and employers have to travel somewhere. It's been hard for both of us to see each other this week. I guess that's life, right? As if reading her thoughts, Peter said it was going to be a long week. When will we meet again? Perhaps not until Friday. Brady will perform an hour-long ceremony Wednesday. I've taken some time off, so it's going to be a busy week for me. Offer engineering scholarships? She smiled. Yes, did he tell you? He invited me. This also means that it will relieve you of a significant financial burden. It's right. I congratulate him. Unfortunately, I had to take Amanda to one of her appointments at the same time. Brady understood and said we would spend time together later. Erica leaned towards him. I'm glad you two get along so well. He is a good man. He had a good mother who raised him. He put his hands on her shoulders and pressed her tightly to him. Erica sighed. Someone knocked the door. Peter frowned. I want to know who is this? He walked to the front door. Erica hesitated, realizing that he was only wearing a shirt and nothing else. He listened to the short conversation. The door closed and Peter returned, confused. He has an envelope in his hand. She pointed it out. What is this? What's happened? Courier delivery? I don't know what it contains, but it is for both of us. Erica became suspicious. Who would have thought that we would be together? Let's take a look. He took the knife, carefully opened the lid, and poured out the contents. A folded paper and a smaller envelope fell out. Peter unfolded the page and invited them to read it together. Dear Eric and Peter, unfortunately, we cannot make this public. We want to publicly thank everyone who warned us about our husband's infidelity. Unfortunately for both of us, the legal battle continues and our divorce will drag on in court. Not to mention police investigations into people who set off a number of fireworks illegally in residential areas. That's why it's better if we keep this a secret. We all want you to know how much we appreciate you and want to reward your loyalty. Rest assured that when the dust settles and our economy is no longer under scrutiny, everyone will get raises and bigger benefits. We all have our suspicions, but we never expect our cheating spouse to be so pushy or disrespectful. Therefore, we thank you for informing us of this issue and allowing us to prepare our services to respond accordingly. We cannot say that we approve of fireworks, regardless of who sets them off. Erica blushed, but Pat simply smiled and said, They know, but they're just saying it to hide it. She nodded and continued reading. At the same time, we agree that you should receive compensation for any inconvenience caused. Consider this a small gift of gratitude and be careful before discussing this issue publicly. EB and AW expressed their respect and gratitude to Peter, Edward Blanton, and Amanda Wallace. Erica took the smaller envelope. What is this? First, he handed him the handle of the knife. Now you. He carefully opened the lid and took out 2 pieces of paper. After saying the name, he sighed. Peter frowned. What? Erica couldn't help but tremble. Peter, these are checks for $50,000 each. What? He took it off. Stupidity. Too crazy. This is a pretty big advantage. Maybe. He took her hand, raised it to his lips, and kissed it. But this means that their financial problems are behind them. Realizing this moment, Erica couldn't help but smile as her eyes filled with tears. He took the check and pressed it to his chest. I never thought it would be like this. I just want to do the right thing and help. Me too. Who would have thought that at the end of the rainbow, we would find a prize? She shook his hand and kissed his cheek. I discovered more. The smile he returned made her shiver again. Erica smiled and said, "Okay, let's finish these sandwiches." Peter picked her up and hugged her, making Erica laugh. "Damn dinner. When I only have a little time with you, I know how I want to spend it." She rested her head contentedly on his neck as he carried her down the hallway. His stomach growled and he smiled again. "Calm. I'll feed you later. There are more important things to do now." Peter led her into the bedroom and carefully closed the door. Subscribe to our channel so that the second drop does not deceive you, and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you are under 18 years of age, please do not listen to the following episodes. Feel free to listen to the next one. Feel free to listen to the next one. Listen to the next person.